Hello and welcome to Coral Vision. I'm your host, Katie Roach, and I'm here in the studio today with Representative Dave Jacoby. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you also.
So we have 2009 behind us and 2010 ahead, and I know a lot of the issues from 2009 are carrying on into 2010, but I thought we could start off by just kind of reviewing 2009 and looking at some of the most important things that happened on the legislative floor. In 2009, we had, in some ways, Iowa was fairly insulated from some of the issues that were facing other states in the country, but talk a little bit about what you think we're going to be facing going forward.
Well, 2009 obviously brought Iowa two major catastrophes, if you will. The first one was the recession finally hit. We felt the ripples in our unemployment numbers and ripples in how it affects small, medium, and large business. And also in Iowa, we faced the fifth largest natural disaster that's hit our country in our history, and that was with the floods and the tornadoes. 98 out of 99 counties were declared federal and state disaster areas. So those two things combined led us into a very difficult 2009 session, kind of defined the top two issues without too much thought from us or anyone else. We worked hard on the Rebuild Iowa Commission to help rebuild Iowa, and 2009 and what will lead into 2010 is the economy. What we can do to improve the economy, policy to improve recruitment and retention of business, policies that will help our University of Iowa, which is our economic engine in our area, but also maybe some policies or lack thereof for us just to get out of the way of business growth also. So we were rescued a bit from the federal government and President Obama's bill to help get infrastructure back where it should be, but also to help in the shortfalls in education, K-12, community colleges, and our Board of Regents schools. So we're not going to have that federal money available. The state budget is $500 billion less than where we hoped revenues would be, so $500 million. So it will be a challenging year in 2010.
Yeah, I think the cogs in the machine take a little longer than people realize, so that in between we could be feeling what people have been feeling in the other states. Yeah. And there was some job creation in the state of Iowa and some job retention, and that was kind of good news for us.
The president, the money we received for the ARRA and the iJobs that the governor and the state legislature put forth last year has helped keep jobs in terms of especially construction jobs, anyone involved in infrastructure and with the education. We kept in our school district probably about 25 to 30 teachers with those stimulus dollars that we may not have been able to keep over the year. So, and that's very important for our K-12 children who need adequate classroom sizes and education to get them to where we want them to be to help us in our, hopefully in retirement, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon, the concerns everyone has for retirement. What we need to do is focus on revenues, and state revenues come from three main sources. Number one is personal income tax, number two is sales tax, and the third is corporate tax. So actually the first two, or the top two that fund our state coffers, are from you and me and everyone watching. It's from the individuals and the families and people who are out working, paying their taxes, and also out purchasing items, necessary items, and also items that may not be as necessary, but what families would like to have. And that's where what we need to do to stimulate the economy is a confidence that over 90% of our local people have jobs. That's good. The unemployment rate in Johnson County is usually around 3%, 3 to 4% at the most, but there is an underemployment rate that we need to pay attention to. Iowans have such a strong work ethic that we work. Everyone works. But if you were making $40,000 a year last year and now you're working part-time making $8,000 or $10,000 a year, you feel the pain, but you're still working. And sometimes with statistics, that's where it gets a little muddled, because even if you're working part-time, you're not counted in the unemployment rolls. So there's some challenges we're looking at. And number one is obviously our economic engine being the university, keeping it vibrant.
Now, the unemployment trust funds remain solvent, though.
The unemployment trust funds are solvent. In Iowa, we are one of the top 7 states in the country as far as the position of our unemployment trust fund. But it always is a concern, because if unemployment were to take a shot up, which we certainly do not want to see, then those trust funds can be depleted in a hurry. Because what we did is we extended benefits to go a full year for some people who have opted to do training, opt to go to the community college or the university and retrain themselves. So we want to give them that opportunity. But that is expensive, extending those benefits too. But we have found if you do not extend benefits, if people don't get training, they tend to move.
Yeah, and we don't want people leaving the state.
We would like people to stay in the state of Iowa. We're a little over 3 million population right now, 30th in the country, and we'd like to stay there, even move to 29th.
Now, let's talk a little bit about where Iowa stands in comparison to other states that are in fiscal peril.
Well, we are doing much better than the majority of states, but we're also facing some significant challenges. In Iowa, we do have a provision in our government that says we cannot spend over 99% of what we take in revenues. That is a very good mechanism for maintaining your budget. Where it becomes problematic is that it doesn't allow the state any flexibility in borrowing money. What we did last year through iJobs, through our bond rating, we did bond for money to help protect our infrastructure and keep some jobs in the state of Iowa. The spending limitation is well written, and actually I support it and think that the spending limitation should be 98% and save 2% of the budget. The bottom line is the rainy day fund, and that's where you see the politics come into play. One group will say we need to spend the money, one group may not. Sometimes the problem with politics is it gets too darn political, and the reserve funds are what the main thrust of the discussion will be in this session too. The Democrats and Republicans will have similar ideas on how the money should be spent, and then we'll have some differing ideas on how those reserve funds should be spent. But Iowa is well positioned, but Iowa also is everyone is gonna feel the hurt a little bit over the next 2 years.